This past week, Trump was joined for dinner by avowed anti-Semite Kanye West and avowed white supremacist Nick Fuentes. Now, Trump obviously took the brunt of well-deserved criticism for the meeting, and yet because he's Trump, we have to remember that it couldn't possibly be his fault. And so what followed was a barrage of posts published on Truth Social, wherein the guy explains away his involvement in every way possible. He first posted, Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, was asking me for advice concerning some of his difficulties, in particular having to do with business. We also discussed, to a lesser extent, politics, where I told him he should definitely not run for president. Any voters you have should vote for Trump. Anyway, we got along great, and he expressed no anti-Semitism, and I appreciated all of the nice things he said about me on Tucker Carlson. Why wouldn't I agree to meet? Also, I didn't know Nick Fuentes. First of all, of course Trump said not to run for president because as far as Trump is concerned, the world revolves around him, and so he couldn't possibly have someone threaten to harm his chances. Because at the end of the day, Donald Trump's sole priority is Donald Trump. Also, not for nothing, but when you have to say that your guest expressed no anti-Semitism, I'm not sure that's accomplishing what you wanted to accomplish. Pretty sure that unless you're an anti-Semite, people don't need to applaud the fact that you managed to get through a single meal without trashing the Jews. And finally, you gotta love the, also, I don't know Nick Fuentes. And this is a recurring theme in Trump world. Anytime that someone in Trump's orbit becomes inconvenient for him, he suddenly doesn't know them anymore. This is the same guy who said that Paul Manafort, his campaign chairman ahead of the 2016 run, came into the campaign very late and was with us for a short period of time. He called George Papadopoulos, his foreign policy advisor, a low-level volunteer. He said of Gordon Sondland, his EU ambassador and campaign donor, I have not spoken to him much, this is not a man I know well. He said Michael Cohen, his own lawyer, did a quote, tiny fraction of his legal work. I swear, if Don Jr. ever ratted out his father, guaranteed Trump would pretend that he never met the guy. But Trump then took to Truth Social and tried again. He wrote, this past week, Kanye West called me to have dinner at Mar-a-Lago. Shortly thereafter, he unexpectedly showed up with 3 of his friends whom I knew nothing about. We had dinner on Tuesday evening with many members present on the back patio. The dinner was quick and uneventful, then they left for the airport. He's like, I only ate an appetizer and left. We didn't say a word. We sat in silence. I knew no one. I was basically asleep. Here's the thing. I've personally found that one good way to avoid having to explain away your dinner with anti-Semites is to not go to dinner with anti-Semites. But of course, Trump didn't stop there. He took to Truth Social again, which is when you know that things are going well, and wrote, quote, so I help a seriously troubled man who just happens to be black, yay, Kanye West, who has been decimated in his business and virtually everything else, and who has always been good to me by allowing his request for a meeting at Mar-a-Lago, alone so that I can give him very much needed advice. He shows up with 3 people, 2 of which I didn't know, the other a political person who I haven't seen in years. I told him don't run for office, a total waste of time, can't win. Fake news went crazy. And now we've reached the victimhood part of Donald Trump's stages of grief. All he was trying to do was help a poor, troubled black man, and now he's taking all of this heat. There is nothing more ham-handed and clumsy than Trump's efforts to invoke race to make himself seem more virtuous. Remember, this is a guy whose entire political career was built upon promises to ban Muslims from entering the United States, attacks on black athletes who knelt to protest police brutality, and who decided to equate neo-Nazis with counter-protesters in Charlottesville. Pretty sure the guy is about 5 years too late if he's trying to present himself as some defender of minorities and the vulnerable. And if you're wondering why he's taking all of this heat and why the quote, fake news went crazy, it's because Kanye has effectively ensured that his entire brand right now is anti-Semitism. Even after he posted his promise to go DEFCON 3 on the Jewish people on Twitter, here's what he said when confronted by the press and given the opportunity to defend himself or even apologize.
Okay, so this right here is a chart of Universal Studios, 20th Century Fox, ABC News, CBS News, Columbia Pictures, Warner Brothers, ESPN Sports, Fox News, Washington Post, Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MTV Music Television, Nickelodeon, USA Today, Wall Street Journal, Comedy Central, NBC Entertainment, Google, what else do we have? Disney, ABC Kids and Family, YouTube, Los Angeles Times, Discovery Network, Paramount Pictures, Facebook, Huffington Post, Yahoo, Marvel, Hulu, Cosmopolitan, Time, Touchstone, Associated Press, Pixar, Miramax, HBO, New York Post, LucasArts, MSNBC, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the thing is, I skipped over maybe about 5 of them because it was just unclear on this list. The red are the executives that are Jewish at these companies. I got a new word for 2024. The red media. That is the red media. If you go to Apple right now, go to Apple Music. Let's load up the top 10 songs. I guarantee you they're promoting black serial killing.
Absolutely.
Not just one. They're promoting black. The red media is making money off of blacks being serial killers to each other.
And yet, knowing this, Trump made the conscious decision to invite that guy out to dinner. If you don't want to have to whine that you're taking heat regarding anti-Semitism, maybe, don't invite an avowed anti-Semite to dinner. And that's just Kanye. As for who Nick Fuentes is, I won't share any of his clips because he is a piece of shit who doesn't deserve the airtime, but he's called on the military to slaughter people in black neighborhoods, and he's made some utterly horrific comments on the Holocaust just to give a sampling. Like, I'm sorry, but Donald Trump was the president of the United States. You think he doesn't have anyone looking to make sure that he doesn't end up at a dinner table with anyone he doesn't want to end up with? Dude tries to present himself as this poor, unsuspecting dolt when it comes to who gets FaceTime with him. If he doesn't want to share a table with a bunch of anti-Semites, he wouldn't have shared a table with a bunch of anti-Semites. The only reason he's whining now is because he made a stupid decision but is refusing to take any responsibility for it. Shocker, huh? In reality, not only did Trump not oppose Fuentes' presence, he enjoyed it. According to Axios, Trump, quote, seemed very taken with Fuentes, and after he told Trump that he was an amazing president when he went off script and was unrestrained, the source said that there was, quote, a lot of fawning back and forth. Trump eventually turned to Kanye and said, I really like this guy, he gets me. The guy, again, being an avowed white supremacist. So yeah, sure, he may have defended the Holocaust, but what's truly important here is that he knows how to compliment Donald Trump. There is quite literally no one who Trump wouldn't embrace so long as that person gives him the affection that he's so desperate for. But just taking a step back here, recognize that yet again, the right is immersed in a scandal of its own creation because these people can't stop trafficking in overt racism and anti-Semitism and xenophobia and outright hate. This isn't a bug in the Republican Party, it's a feature. And given that party's trajectory, it's very clearly only getting worse. Before you go, if you enjoyed this video and want to see more, please make sure to subscribe to my channel. You can click the thumbnail right here on this screen. And if you want to support my work even further, the best way is to subscribe to my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. There you can check out my interviews with major players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, Jamie Raskin, and so many more. Plus other interviews that live exclusively on the podcast. That link is also right here on this screen, or just search No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen wherever you listen to podcasts.